That's not even all of it.
Every now and then, someone does something that just, well, restores your faith in humanity. I'm very privileged as a YouTuber in this hobby, with a certain size channel that I get donations from people that other people might be jealous of. But I do put the work in, and I don't ever profit from any donation that I get. If it's a donation of, say, an issue 1 ZX Spectrum, which was one of my favorites that I got, or an Auric Atmos, or an Alice Matra, there's all kinds of things up there that I'll never ever sell. They will be cherished forever. And I'm not saying that everybody does the same thing, but I'm not here to judge anyone else. Now, every now and then, these sort of things happen where somebody needs to move on their collection and they don't want to sell things. Now, this has just happened. This is literally what has happened here. I've got a comment on a recent video. It was actually the video at the Cambridge Bring and Bite sale. And Nigel commented that he had some computers that he wanted to pass on. He didn't want to sell them on eBay. And just to scare me, he pretended he was going to send them to e-waste. He was never going to do that. He actually explained that he wanted to make sure that this happened. So I immediately replied to that comment and waited a few days for Nigel to contact me via email. And we arranged a visit. And fortunately, Nigel lives just 20 minutes away from my house. And I pitched up at his, and he'd already arranged everything, laid it all out in his garage for me to pick up. And there is a lot of stuff here. This is definitely the biggest donation that my channel has ever had. And I'll say right at the outset, I still don't know what I'm going to do with all of this. The one thing I can tell you that I'm not going to do with it is I'm not going to sell it. Not for me, not for profit. I'm going to keep some things, this one here especially, although maybe not the computer, but I do like to keep things together. So, but we'll go into why, because there's some bits hanging off the back of this one over here. I will keep some of this. Some of it I don't need. I already have, for instance, an Amiga 600, and I have a TI 99. I have plenty of ZX Spectrum Plus 2s and Amstrad CPCs. I don't have, I don't think, I'm actually struggling to remember. I don't think I have a Plus 16 or a C16 or a Plus 4 for myself, so I might keep those, but we'll see. I have a BBC B, but it's broken, so I'll probably keep this one until I've fixed my one, and then I'll pass it on. Now, passing it on can mean a few different things. I might give some of this stuff away, and I might sell some of it for charity. And there are different reasons why I'm saying that. If I committed to selling all of this for charity, that's a lot of work for me to find boxes for everything, and for listing it on eBay, and doing all of that goes around that. I've done that kind of thing before, and it takes up a chunk of my time that I can't afford at the moment. So I'm going to do this a little bit at a time, but some of it I just want to give away. If I can find somebody that really, really needs certain things, then I'm just going to give them away. And there's some stuff that's not on the workbench at the moment. There is a lot more. I mean, this is all the computers, but there is other stuff as well that I think is more appropriate just to give away rather than sell. I like the idea of somebody in the hobby getting a leg up, like I do. I get these boosts now and then that really make a big difference to how you. Well, and people, I'm not the only one who deserves these things, right? So I'm going to get all of this off of the bench and we're going to go through it one at a time. I'll bring each computer back onto the bench and all of the bits that came with it, because each one of these came with peripherals. So, and I'm really short of space, so I'm just going to, I don't know what I'm going to do. Let's start with the BBC. I think I don't know very much about BBCs, although I do know that having the cutouts intact is a good thing. And I've recently bought one, which I've actually put away for now. This one has a Gotek attached to it with its USB stick still there. Oh, and I'm fairly sure it has this thing. I've had one of these before, but nope, it's popped out. It's I think I can just pop that out there. Let's see if it's got a name on it. A Turbo SPI. And it's just a very, very simple way of loading games and software from an SD card on a BBC. And I've been meaning to pick one of these up again for ages, and now I've got one. I don't need to. That's where the floppy drive plugs in, and it's powered off of the auxiliary power port. Note that the BBC has these sockets underneath, these connectors underneath. So we've got tube, 1 megahertz bus, printer, and that must be user port and disk drive here. These will become relevant on the next machine. So this one is not very complicated. I'm assured that all of these work as well. So there's, in terms of content for me, that it's not the biggest haul in the world, but in terms of value, this is amazing. In really, really good condition, much better than the other one I picked up recently. I'm wondering if I should just pop the lid off of this and have a look, because sometimes they have like extra ROMs, and I'm sure with this being an upgraded machine, let's pop that floppy connector out. We might as well explore everything while we're here. I think I've only taken a BBC apart a couple of times. I think it's these two. I've probably taken a master apart more than a BBC B. Is this a B or is it an A? I think it's a B. I think it's this one and this one. Don't think any of these other ones need to come out. To take the lid off. Oh. Yeah. Oh, I told you. All of the work has been done on these. Look at this. All of the major chips have been heat sunked. Board's in lovely condition. It's got its EcoNet port. I've been told that the reset switch was never populated on these. There's not even a blank there, but yep, but there it is. And we've got a Retro Clinic disc something. Some sort of disc controller. What is that plugged into? It's got a disc controller there, so it must just be an upgraded floppy disk controller. I don't know why. We do have more than the standard amount of ROMs populated. I can see one of them says MMFS, so that's a good thing, I think. And there's a disk file, DFS one there as well. But yeah, like I say, I don't know enough about BBCs to be commenting too much on what's going on in here. But I mean, the bling, look at the bling, fantastic. I don't think I'm going to switch any of these on today, because it's just, I have got all of the cables. Every single one of these came with power leads and cables, but I think that's just going to get messy with capture as well. And I'll just embarrass myself because I don't know how to actually run these machines. Well, not a BBC. I am a bit of a noob when it comes to a BBC. I've got a BBC Master over there that Fuzzy Lee gave me, and he also gave me a garage for it with floppy disks. Really, really nice thing. And I've turned that on once, And I looked at the command prompt that faced me and just went, oh, I don't know what I'm doing here, and turned it off again. I need to find some time to sit down and actually learn how to use this thing properly. Why is that? That BNC connector has got a couple of flying leads hanging out of it, but they're safely taped up. Ah, okay. Anyway, I'm assuming that the power supply has had its reefers replaced. Like I said, that all of the work has been done on these. Nigel he's one of us. He's a tinkerer and somebody that likes to repair these machines. And I think he's done all of his tinkering, and now the end product is heading off into the world for other people to use. Fantastic! What a lovely thing. One of the best things about a BBC. Oh, that keyboard is sublime. That's so good. Positive. What a lovely thing. I might reinforce that on the back. Most of the perforations have broken on that. Do you know what we can do? I am going to plug it in because there is an iconic sound that the BBC makes. Ready? Bloop, bloop. That's working. Right, that's one down. So that one's peripherals were attached to it. This one has more. And we're staying in the world of Acorn. And yeah, we've got an Acorn Electron. And this one has goodies, including this. Okay, so in the big pile of stuff that's down here, I've grabbed all of the things that I think are all for the Acorn. There might be more, and I'll pop them in at the end once the pile is thinned down a bit. But we've got all of this. So this, let's start with the Acorn Electron itself, and it has an interface 1 and I think that's an interface 2. It doesn't actually say what it is. I don't want to take it apart to make to make a fool of myself. I don't want to take it apart and damage anything. I'm just going to leave things as they are. But yeah, these are the creations of Dave Hitchens, who creates all sorts of wild and amazing things for the Acorn Electron. Probably one of the 8-bit micros from the 80s that has the most add-ons and expansions and things to make it better than any other computer. I can't think of, this ZX Spectrum's got dandinators and divMMCs and things like that. And it's obviously got a lot of third-party peripherals that were available back then that have been recreated now. But in terms of turning this into a better and more powerful machine, I think the Acorn Electron probably takes the crown. This, in this configuration, is approaching the same kind of level of expandability as a BBC. Oh, that's a plus. All right, +2. I don't know enough about these, and I've not explored them yet, but there's a lot going on. +2. That one's a +2. What's this one then? That's the +1. Okay, that's +1, and that's a +2. And these give you all kinds of things. So we've got some expansion on the back here. I think there's a serial port there. Plus these slots. I think these are ROM slots, but this is a advanced tube interface. So it's got now got the tube slot that the BBC's got. There's an ELK SD +1 there, so for loading stuff from SD, and an advanced ROM adapter 3. I've labelled everything with Nigel's name, the date, and which machine it goes with. It took me ages yesterday to go through all this, printing labels. Where's the other one gone? And we've also got the ELK SD 128. I don't know why that's different and why that's keyed. I don't think that goes in there. Oh, I think that would just go on the back of the machine if, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, there's also stuff in here. There's all the manuals for all of these peripherals, but there's Advanced Plus 5. Look at all of these. Recognise these? A 1 megahertz bus, user ports A and B, tube interface, I2C interface, serial port for the Acorn Electron. So that's the tube interface, user ports, and 1 megahertz bus. And there's something there as well. Absolute madness. And there's another box. This one has more manuals in it for this stuff. I think that goes on here. Advanced Basic Editor and Utilities Function key strip for the Acorn Electron. And that's the Advanced ROM Adapter 3. I thought we'd already seen one of those. Oh, this says just RAM, and this says programmable ROM. Advanced ROM Adapter 3, Advanced ROM Adapter 3, write enable. Oh. So you can program the ROM for the Acorn Electron and BBC Master 128. It's nuts. So, yeah, I don't know. I've got a lot to learn, and I'm quite keen to learn this ecosystem because it's wild the things that you can do with an Acorn Electron and the things that people do with them. They are a highly underrated machine, highly underrated. Anyway, so as well as those add-ons, we've got a user guide for the BBC Micro, or the advanced user guide, and a user guide, which I do love. I got this one, I think, with the BBC that I bought from the Bring and Bite sale. Oh, and this is, what's this one? Oh, that's for the C16. This one is for the BBC and Acorn Electron RGB cable. So we've got that. We've got a laptop type power supply with 1.6 amps, 19 volts with a barrel jack. And I'm pretty sure that was with this. Pretty sure that's to power the Acorn Electron. The original power supply was AC 19 volts, but it's bridge rectified inside and it will run off of a 19 volt supply. And there's this one as well, which is another, what is this one? 9 volt output. I don't know what this was with the Acorn, but I'm not sure. I've marked it as being part of the Acorn package, but I'm not sure whether this one, maybe Nigel can let me know which one this is supposed to be for. Right, let's put all of this stuff to one side and move on to the next one. Oh, this one's quite a simple one. It does have an add-on. The only things this one came with, this is of course an Atari STF, was this SD for ST Plus, which is a hard drive emulator for the ST, and it's got one 8 gig micro SD card in there, and it can take 2 SD cards, and it's got I think I saw a switch on it somewhere, micro USB there. Sure, I saw a switch on this. Maybe it was a different one I was looking at. But yeah, this can plug it straight into the hard drive port on the back here. And you've got a hard drive emulator for your Atari ST. The other thing that is nice to do with these is stick a Gotek in, which, yep, he's already done. Standard Gotek mount in there. So maybe I have got one bit of work I could do, maybe 3D print something that fits in there a little bit better, but yeah, there's not really much to do with that. Or I could put an OLED screen type one in, but it's got a hard drive emulator, so maybe it doesn't really need it. The only other thing this might need is, I don't know if he's done it, but the joystick ports go onto the keyboard. Often their solder joints crack. But yeah, that one's quite simple. It did come with a power lead, but it is just a kettle lead on this, so nothing too exciting. There might have been a RGB lead for this. Yes, there was. a cool novelties one. So that's definitely handy to have. I'll put those aside, put this one aside, and let's move on to the next one. I'm going to do these two together because they're very similar machines. Obviously a C16 and a Plus 4, Commodore C16 and a Commodore Plus 4 in marvellous condition. I think this one is very standard in terms of ROMs and things, but I'm fairly sure that Nigel said that this one has actually got JiffyDOS, a JiffyDOS ROM in it, so that will be worth exploring. They did come with other bits. I think this is all of it. So we've got a SCART lead for the C16 or Plus 4. It's obviously just a S-video, I think. Might just be composite. We've got 3 C2N tape decks. I wonder, are these still called C2Ns when they're the Plus 4 or C16 ones? And these have got obviously the smaller DIN socket on the back, on the end of the lead. So you need a converter to use them on a normal C64 or VIC-20. So we've got 3 of those. That one's a little bit more yellow than the others. The other's got, that one in particular is in excellent condition. Yeah, that's going to clean up lovely. Got 2 power supplies. Oh, one for, that one's for the C6, for the Plus 4, and this one, I think it's for the C16. Or no, the other way around. This one's the C16, uses a barrel jack. And this one is for, no, barrel jack on the C16. This one is for the Plus 4. You can convert these because that's not compatible with, I mean, obviously it looks a bit like an Amiga power plug, but it's not. And it's the wrong shape for a Commodore 64 power jack, which is round. But you can convert, you can put the power jack from a Commodore 64 on that motherboard. So you can just use a Commodore 64 power supply. Came with some tapes, Introduction to Basic, part 1 and part 1. Tape 1 and tape 2. Okay, for the C16 Plus 4. This truly horrible joystick for the, well, for either of these. Again, with the proprietary, well, not proprietary, but weird plug for a joystick you wouldn't expect. Not a DIN. Not a DB9 or EB9, DE9. And this, a Pi 1541-2, which has a Raspberry Pi in it. It even has a populated 32 gig SD card in there, already built up. I do have a Pi 15, it's under there somewhere, Pi 1541. So this will be one of the things that gets passed on. I don't need 2 of them. Or I might keep this one and pass my one on because I really like that case. That looks really cool. So yeah, that's all of the Commodore C16 and Plus 4 stuff. I'm not going to open those ones up. Yeah, like I say, I don't think I've got a C16 or a Plus 4. I think the ones I've got are earmarked for charity purposes. So eventually they'll be sold for charity. So they're entering my collection. One of my favourite machines, a Sinclair ZX Spectrum Plus 228K. I'm so familiar with these. I am actually going to open this one up and see if it's had any work done. I can't have a Spectrum on my workbench without opening it. It feels rude not to. Immaculate. The only thing that really goes wrong with these is the chips creep out of their sockets, and it's got some Amstrad branded memory, and the pins on this ULA, which is floating in the board, sometimes come loose because the whole thing vibrates. Tape deck has a new belt on it. Looks like it's been serviced. I bet this is all just fully working. Yeah, I can see that stuff has been reflowed on the PCB here. It looks in brilliant condition. Nigel's obviously a craftsman. So this came with some stuff. One thing in particular I'm very interested in. Oh, and because this is a +2B, I think I've got a +2A. I might have a B. And I might even have two of these. I'm pretty sure, yeah, I'm fairly sure I've got two of these already. So this one is definitely going to get passed on. After I've tested it thoroughly and made sure it's fully working, of course. There's stuff to come that's not computers as well. There's a power supply, which is always handy with the +2 because it has a weird plug on the end of it. Not that end, on that end of it. So if you buy a +2, you want to, if it's not a grey, you want to make sure that you get the power brick with it as well. We've got some software on tape to test the tape deck. We've got an RGB lead again. This one from Retro Computer Shack. Can't go wrong with those. And something that I've been after for a long time, a divMMC. I don't know why this is different because it says Syndicate Edition and it's got a lot of stuff on it that I don't recognize. For one thing, and this is what I was getting confused with earlier, it's got two SD card slots. So card 0 and card 1. And some jumpers here, reset and NMI, and a joystick port. And a pass-through as well, which is always handy. Fantastic. So this is definitely part of my collection now. Really, really handy for me to have a divMMC as alongside my Dandinator, because I've got one thing I really want to try with it, which is, and I'm not sure where it is because I put it in a different case. It's my Harlequin, which doesn't work with my Dandinator. And if this works with my Harlequin, then that was just made the whole thing worth even more to me. So yeah, that's the specky stuff. Something I know nothing about. So obviously it's a TI 99/4A. It has this thing in it, which is Final Grom 99 and an 8 gig SD card. Know nothing about this. Oh, that was a click. I shouldn't have just pulled that out. Obviously, it's you know, an SD loader of some sort. This that fits on the side is a TI 99/4A 32 kilobyte RAM. Very cool. I'm going to leave that on the side there. Case is in good condition. The silver has degraded slightly. It's got some wear on it. Keyboard looks fantastic and really feels better than it probably is. Solid state software. On my one, the one I picked up recently, that switch was stuck, jammed solid. So that is a switch. I wasn't even sure whether it was a switch on my one because it wouldn't move. But yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, there's not much I can say about this because I know nothing about one. I've never turned it on. My one's on. I've got one up there, right up on the shelves, that's got the red glow on it. That's been up there since I put that shelf up, really. I've got everything I need to turn that on, but I've just never turned it on. No idea whether it works or not. Can't even remember where I got it from. I bought that one. I got another one recently. I think Paul gave me another one. Oh, that might be the one that Paul gave me. Yeah, Paul gave me that one, and I bought another one recently. So I've now got 3 TI 99s. So I'll be keeping the add-on bits, maybe a power supply. So we've got this power supply, Texas Instruments, disconnect from mains when not in use, output 16 volts and 8 volts, both AC, I think, which is weird. And it's very, very weird power connector. Where does that go? In here. That's good to have. And there's another one of those here, the power connector. So I've got 2 power supplies. Fairly sure I've got 2 Textra TI 99s here with only one power supply. So that's going to even things up really nicely there. And I think this is the RGB lead for it. This one has actual RGB plugs on the end. Don't know what that's all about, but I can convert that, no problem. And we've got this thing. Must be for connecting a tape deck. Must be for connecting a tape deck into there, which I don't have. So that is super handy. I didn't even know I needed that. And these are a set of joysticks for the TI-99, and Nigel went to great pains to tell me that these are awful, and I have never felt anything like this. That is literally the worst feeling joystick I've ever felt in my life. That is like it's full of fungus. It's like it's full of mushroom inside there, and you're just like, you know, a really tight mushroom, a hardish mushroom, and it's got some give to it, but not enough, and no tactile feedback whatsoever. But they both plug into obviously that same port on the back. And Nigel said that these are actually quite rare, so that's nice. That's also nice to have. Oh, there's another bit. There's this thing. Oh, what is that? Oh, look at that. So this obviously plugs into the side as well. I've got to try it. Just want to see what it looks like, because they've made this beautiful brushed steel cut type case. Oh, I don't really want to. Oh, it's a flap. That's all right. Yeah, it goes on there like that. Look at that. It's a speech synthesizer. I don't know anything about it. Why has it got this big hole in it? And where is there a speaker? Oh, maybe the speaker is inside the computer, or I don't know. Know nothing about this, but nice to have. Assembled in the USA. So that's all of the TI-99 stuff. That's now given me, you know, I've got a working machine at least, and I can get the other ones working if they're not. A bunch of manuals that came with everything as well. The Texas Instrument Extended Basic, and lots of bits and pieces. Teach Yourself Extended Basic. There's some more for the C16 and Plus 4 here. User manuals and software manuals. There's this thing, which is a Competition Pro joystick, standard, but it's got this on it. And I'm fairly sure that's just an adapter to use it with Sinclair 128K plus 2 machines, which have the SJS interface on them, just to change the pin out. But I will experiment with that. All right, I'll actually test it before I experiment with it. Actually handy to have. Is that fitting in the frame? The CPC 464. Nobody likes a CPC 464, do they, Dave? And it's come with this, which I'm pretty sure is an M4. It's got hex. I was going to open it up, but it's got hex bolts on it. I can't be bothered to. No, I don't think it is a. I don't think that is. I think that's something else. I'm not sure what this is, but I'm going to have to find out, aren't I? Ooh. Screen's soldered directly. That looks like it might be glued in. So is that memory? Yeah, Hyundai memory, I think. I really don't know what this is. I don't know very much about Amstrad peripherals. That is just jammed in there. Does not want to come out. Okay, well, I'm not going to break it, and I'm sure somebody will tell me what it is in the comments. But in terms of what I have in my collection to load software onto an Amstrad CPC, none. I haven't got a single thing. I do have, we've done well, we've started a group. I've started a group buy for the M4 board. I've got all of the parts behind me, ready to build, waiting for time to do that. And I thought that's what I thought this was, but that I'm sure is a bit smaller than this. I might be looking at the wrong thing. Anyway, so now I've got something that I can load stuff on an Amstrad CPC 464. That's going to make a big difference to me. So this will be entering my collection as well. The Amstrad itself, I've got plenty of those. I don't need another one. So that will be passed on. And it's a lovely one as well. Looks like, yes, the longer board, but not the tall key version. Good condition. Tape deck looks really good. Nice. That one is done. This is the last computer of the of this batch. It's an Amiga 600, and it came with a power supply, an RGB lead, yeah, a couple of video cables, and a power supply, a standard disk drive, and I'm pretty sure that there will be something in here. Yeah, it looks like a RAM expansion. 1 megabyte RAM expansion with a real-time clock on it. I wonder if there's anything else inside, because Amiga 600 is an upgradable machine, but some of the upgrades are tricky. Let's have a look. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we've got 3.1 ROM, which I shall now cover up the sticker on, and we've got a 5.5 megabyte fast RAM. I think this is chip RAM, and this is fast RAM, and we've got a hard drive is compact flash connected to the IDE drive as well. I wonder if the caps have been changed on this. Yeah, I don't think the caps have been changed on this, and there's quite a lot of leakage around them. Sometimes it's difficult to tell, but I can see quite a lot of crustiness in the on the left-hand side. It's going to be worth recapping this just to clean that up. I'll ask Nigel if it has been capped. But yeah, a fully tricked out Amiga 600. The only thing it's really missing that you could upgrade it with is, I mean, obviously an accelerator and the trapdoor slot, or a Pi Storm. But I think that this is the best configuration for an Amiga 600. You've got IDE access, so you don't need to add images to it or anything like that, like a Pi Storm. You've got the 3.1 operating system, so it will boot hard drives, and you've got all of the memory you need for WHD load, and obviously a working floppy disk drive. This is a machine that doesn't need anything doing to it. Case clip is just about broken. It's hanging on there. I've got a solution for that. And the case clip on this side is gone. And this power supply feels suspiciously light to me. I just want to have a quick look inside it. I don't know if this has been upgraded with something modern. Be worth knowing. And it's the right type. It's got the shallow screws. So this one would be, a good one to upgrade with a Meanwell. No, it's the original. All looks good. There's no scorching anywhere. Yeah, probably absolutely fine. I will test that before I plug it into anything. And like I say, really easy to upgrade to a Meanwell. It's almost worth doing anyway. I know some people get upset when people use Meanwells, but they are medical grade power supplies. I know this isn't. Right, that's all of the computers. I think. There's this I got excited when I thought it might be chocolate, but it's not. Oh, this is stuff to go with the TI-99. More stuff to go with the TI-99. So Flash ROM 99 with a SD card in it already. Oh, these go with the Amiga 600 and the Atari ST. Mouseadapter.com. I don't know why one of them has a bodge on it. So you can plug in a USB mouse into either of those. They're quite handy to have. TI-99 Extended Basic, so that makes more sense. That says, is that Jack Maker? I don't know. And Parsec, obviously it must be a game. And Music Maker, loads of cartridges for the TI-99, and a single diode, a 1N914 diode. There is another one of these Celebrations tins, but we'll get to that in a sec. Actually, we can get to that now. This came with the bundle. Oh, it is an oscilloscope. This is the manual. So this is an MSO oscilloscope. An MSO, well, so a normal digital storage oscilloscope is just a digital storage oscilloscope, a DSO. This is an MSO, which is a mixed signal digital storage oscilloscope. And that means it's not only an oscilloscope, it's also got the facility to add logic analyzer. Or it's got a logic analyzer built in, but to add the logic analyzer module to it with the leads, which is in here. Comes with the logic analyzer section, so that plugs into the scope. Then you've got all of your pins to add these leads to I don't know how many channels it must be, 16 channel logic analyzer. Never had one before, so I'm not sure what to do with this, because I've got a Rigol DHO 804 over there, which I bought fairly recently, and I spent quite a lot of money on that. And the main reason I got that, it's quite a well regarded scope. The main reason I got that is for the HDMI out. And this, I mean, it's a bigger unit. My Rigol, by the way, is a 70 megahertz scope, and through software you can actually upgrade that to something like 150. But this one is a 200 megahertz with a logic analyzer built in. It's an older model, but I'm not sure if I would need this. I might give it a little whirl and see what it's like. It's going to be more difficult to show it on screen, but because it hasn't got HDMI out, it's only got USB and a COM port, serial port out. But if I can't use this, then this will be getting passed on to somebody as well. So that's a lovely thing. Right, the last one is pretty big. It's one of them. An Ultimaker 2 Plus, which I'm told by Nigel it's a rock solid printer with which is fairly capable, and it's not a bed slinger like my one. It's one of these ones, I don't know, are these called Voron? I don't know what they're called, where the head moves on two axes, on two different rails, and the bed just goes up and down, doesn't go backwards and forwards. Don't know much about these. Like that it's enclosed though on those sides, because that has been a problem in the past for me. I don't know if it's got auto leveling built into it or not, but it's got a fairly chunky head. I'm sure Lee Smith is going to give me lots of advice on this. It's also using 3mm PLA rather than the usual stuff that you get. A super chunky power supply that goes with it. Another Meanwell, which is 24 volts and 9.2 amps. Oh, let's just get this off for a sec. Oh, it's heavy. And some PLA to get you going. So is this all 3mm? 2.85. 2.85 and 3. This is PETG, that's Poly Plus PLA. This is the sort of stuff I use all the time. I don't need a 3D printer, I've already got one. Over there in the corner. Down there. So this I'm going to give away. If you are close enough to me, this will be the first thing I give away, because I need the space, basically. It takes up a lot of room, but I'd love to see this in the hands of someone that can make use of it. If there's somebody out there that doesn't have a 3D printer yet, or has a really old rubbish one, this one will work for you. I'm pretty sure you can change it to the more standard filament thickness, to the 1.75. I don't think it's locked to the 2.85 millimeter PLA or filament. So if you live close enough to South Suffolk that we could meet up, I'll be willing to drive within reason, sort of like an hour away from me. So that's up to the outskirts of London, just about. And trying to think what's an hour away north to Cambridge area, or east of me is the coast, and south is places like Southend, and I'm in that bottom part of East Anglia. If you live close enough to me that you want to come and pick this up, get on my Discord and let's start a conversation. I want to talk to anybody that's interested in taking it, and I want to hear your story about what you want to use it for and what you've currently got. And we're going to pick somebody, and you can, if the stars align, if somebody's close enough and really needs it, then that's yours for free. Maybe you could make a small donation to the befriending scheme. That would be cool. But anyway, that's not a requirement. I think that's it, because it all just got like piled into my workshop, and my workshop is already bursting at the seams with stuff. I'm struggling to remember exactly where everything is that I brought in here. I think that's everything that I brought back. There could be more. There could be more hiding. But anyway, I've got to say to Nigel, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for donating all this stuff. All of it, I guarantee, will go to good homes. Some of those homes will be here. But I will find good homes for it, and we'll see if we can raise some money for the befriending scheme with some of it, as I think it's appropriate. Brilliant. That's all I've got time for today. Merry Christmas, everybody. I'll see you soon.